All right, you guys. One of you guys asked me, and it's probably a good idea because I was trying to show you guys how to use calculators, and the method I was using only worked for the calculator I was used to. So I did a quick little study, and I found something that appears to work for all the brands of calculators, at least for the Texas Instrument family. So I'm going to go and I'm going to look at this practice problem that you have that talks about Shelley's science project, or Shelley studying the ratio between car mileage and price per gallon. I'm going to skip right to the data so this video doesn't get too long, and I'm going to show you how to put this in a calculator and place the equation in your calculator, as well as limit the domain and range in terms of your viewing screen. So let's start off with just adjustments you can make to your screen. And if I look at this data, it looks like my domain, my input, my x values go from 30 to 70. And very often we want to have a screen that shows more than that, but I'm going to show you how to limit it to just that. All right. So your window, right? Your window shows exactly what shows up on your graph. And you can see an x-min, which is talking about your domain, and it looks like your x-min goes from 30 to 70. Your scale tells you how much you go by, and honestly 5 would be a decent scale, and if your calculator can't handle it, it kind of makes the adjustments for you. That just shows where those tick marks along the side would be. I want to pull this away and look at what my y-min would be. It looks like from 27.5 all the way up to 34, so I'm going to plug that in. 27.5 is my min, and 34 is my max. I'm going to leave my scale at 1 for now. I don't think it's going to matter too much. And anytime you want to get out of any screen, you just go second quit. So now we've got our screen set up so that it works pretty well, and it's at least for the data that we have. And to put information in, we're studying statistics, so we're going to hit the stat button right here. I hit the stat button, and I might have these in here already. So you edit what is in your stats, and I don't. So this is probably a good learning situation as well. The L1 on this is generally for your X values, your domain, and the L2 is for your Y values, your range, inputs and outputs. So if you want to clear them out, you just go right up to the top, you say clear and enter. I'm going to do the same thing over here, clear and enter. And then in order with matching data, I'm going to go ahead and put in all that information. And it looks like for X, it's 30, 40. I'm going to move my hand so I can see. There we go, 50, 60, 70, and it's just 5 data points this time. And the Y is 34, 33.5, except I messed up, 33.5, 31.5, 29, and 27.5. So we got our data in there. So right away, I want to make sure that my scatter plot is on, and that's under Y equals, and you can see up here that there's a plot. And that plots those two columns in that spreadsheet that we just filled. And if I graph, we should see dots. And in this case, I do. I almost cut these points off here, and I probably shouldn't have when I limited the domain, but I can see where they're at. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So here's a trick. First, you have to store an equation, all right? And here's how you store an equation, all right? You go to Stat, Calculate, and what we're dealing with is a linear regression. So I hit enter, and it's going to say, hey, this is what a linear regression is, right? It's the slope and the variable, and then your y-intercept. And when we hit enter, that should be stored, right? That should be stored in an equation. It's not quite as obvious as under TI-83, all right? So to get it to be placed in, we want to put it in y equals. And once you get here, right, we're going to place that equation in y1. That is vars, and we're going to go back to statistics, and we're going to go over to equation and do our regular equation, and we can see that the information we have is now placed in that y equals 1. The steps are just a tiny bit. Basically, you have to hit enter a few more times on the other calculators, but this will work for every Texas Instrument calculator that I have seen, from the TI-83 all the way up to the Inspire. I'm going to show you that if you hit graph, now we're going to hit a graph that roughly follows our data, right? It goes right through our scatter plot, and we should be able to answer the other questions. Thanks. You guys have a good weekend, and I hope this video helps out.